Do-do-do-do. Wait, what? Why is it white? Hey, not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Check levels. Levels look good. Yeah. Why is okay? Okay. I think I'm good. I think one level good. Good. All right. Check. You tried to ruin my game, but you're not gonna ruin my game. All right, what's up, everybody? What's up? Well, I've got 2 viewers right now. One of them might be me. Well, it's my own fault. Consistency. Lack thereof, I should say. But looks like we're live and we have an excellent connection. So that's good. Let me move my mic over here. My mic's there. check 1 2 1 2. I will say my subscriber count has gone up and just consistently gone up. So that's cool. But yeah, just gonna do this video. Just gonna go. If anybody hops in, great. If not, great. Just want to get this thing going. Hold on 1 second. Let me check something. Turn that down. All right. So I don't know what's up with my chat box. It should be night theme, dark theme, or whatever. But it currently is not. I don't know what's going on. I'm using like old, what's it called? What's it called? OBS. So I'm using old BS. Hilarious. All right, just pop out the chat so I can see it better here. All right. It's got a glare on it. Let's move it down a little bit. All right, so I can see it good here. All right. Let's see what we got. 6 folks. All right, we're moving up. I'll wait a couple more minutes before I get started. But yeah, man. Yeah. 20th anniversary for the Nintendo Gamecube. How did that happen? You just keep getting older and older. The older you get, the faster time goes by. I remember being a kid and thinking, every day is so slow. I want to get to the summer, have fun. Summers come like nothing now. They come and they go. It's sad. Oh yeah. That's cool. Let me move this up. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. Can I minimize this without losing my? No, I lost it already. All right. So I'll just move this over here. Oh, there we go. That's probably better. That's probably better. All right. So, Nintendo GameCube, 20 years since it launched. Just a couple days ago. I think on the 18th. So I'm just going to share a story. Quick story. I think I've shared this before. Maybe in a different celebration video. Maybe it might have been the 15th. That's how long I've been on YouTube for a while. But maybe it was during it's probably doing one of the Juices Loose podcasts. Shout out to the boys. Yeah, I remember it being just really uneventful. So here's the thing. I got to set up the time. For some of you folks who been there, who weren't there, or are very young when it happened, the GameCube and the Xbox subsequently, I'm going to do a video on that too. The GameCube launched 3 weeks. What am I saying? No, 3 weeks. Less than 2 months. 3 weeks. I'm thinking of something else. Less than 2 months after 9/11. So the mood in the country was pretty somber. I mean, they were still looking for people in the rubble. And it was just not a good time to try to sell something. Because when something like that happens, people will get really tight with their money. And they just, especially with that event happening, nobody wanted to go anywhere. Everybody was pretty much scared, in fear. And Sony was lucky enough to have launched in 2000, a year before that, and they were, kind of coasting along with no real competition, because Dreamcast came out and it started off good, but it quickly died down as far as the hype for it and the sales and all that. So it was Sony was sitting pretty nice. And the fact that it had a DVD player, the PS2 had a DVD player in it, for that time was, amazing. So for that price, especially, because I've said this before, but my girlfriend at the time bought me a Panasonic. Was it Panasonic? Yeah, Panasonic DVD player. Maybe near top of the line. I wouldn't say that, but it was probably close. And it cost $550 or something like that, $549. And the PS2 cost only $300. So it was already cheaper, and you could play PS1 games and PS2 games in it. So, Sony was losing tons of money on that thing, selling it with a DVD player. I think over $200 per unit. So, but they took that hit because they wanted to re-up doing the software. But anyway, so GameCube and Xbox just came out at the worst times. Yeah, you think at times like that people want to forget and kind of dive into their, dive within themselves and not think about the world. And video games are really good at taking you away from stuff like that. But I think that event was just so crazy that it just wasn't going to work. So I think, just the fervor around video games at that point was not that big because, it was the terrible tragedy that happened. So I remember I had started working at Walmart. I got really disillusioned with my current job, and I was just like, I'm out. And I was just I was a young man, trying to find my way. And I just started working at Walmart. And it was pretty boring. It was not a great job, terrible pay. But I got that employee discount. And that meant, things that I bought got 10% off. And it was really good for big purchases. And my big purchase that year was the Nintendo GameCube. I remember getting my discount for the GameCube and quitting really close after that. So I got my 10% off. It was great, and I got a bunch of games. I just remember there just not being, you think today video game system launches, you know, there's midnight. It was like big, huge crowds and whatnot. It was not like that for GameCube, at least where I was. It was just really somber, really quiet. And I think, 9/11 had a lot to do with that. I just think the mood in the country was not about, ooh, new video game system. It just seemed really small compared to what we were dealing with at the time. So I just remember walking in, no big deal, no fanfare, buying my GameCube and a bunch of launch games and walking out. And it was just pretty quiet, pretty, somber. And the funny thing is, I'm torn as to which GameCube I bought because I have a bunch right now, and I really can't remember. I want to say it was the purple one. That was my day one, and if that's true, I can't believe I don't remember at this point. Memory gets hazy. This would be it. My day one, Dusty. Indigo, not purple. Let's see, there's dust all over it because it's been in the shelf. Indigo GameCube. And I remember in 2000, actually, Space World 2000, because it hadn't revealed the GameCube yet. And Space World, if you don't know, was Nintendo's own show. It was basically their yearly E3. I think before that it was called like Shoshinkai. And then it became Space World in 96? Somewhere around there. Anyway. I remember, I was getting ready to go to work. And I remember trying to watch, the new clips coming in from Space World that year. And it was just like, oh man, and internet was not as good as it is today. It was not even close, 56K modem, dial up. And so it was a buffering struggle to see what was going on with the Shoshinkai. And then again, this is coming from Japan. So it was coming from Japan, and outlets in America would get stuff, and then that's when you got it. So it's like, you had to go through these channels to get all this information. But anyway, I just remember slowly seeing things come out. And then I remember seeing this, and I was like, I don't think this is going to do well. Because, even myself, I'm not above the fray when it comes to people just looking at this and thinking it was a toy. It was like a kid's thing. Why does it have a handle on the back? This is weird. Now, I grew to love this design. I didn't hate it at the time or anything. I just thought the color, why that color? Why indigo? And my thoughts on it, because Nintendo of America was trying to tell Nintendo Japan, don't go with the indigo. That's just not, it's not a good idea. But if you think about the Super Nintendo, it also had indigo, but it had indigo trim. So like the buttons, the power button, the reset button were purple or indigo. And I think they were just trying to harken back to that, with reacquiring third parties again. I think that color meant Super Nintendo to them. That's just a guess. I don't have an idea. I'm not sure about that. And then, of course, that's the Super Nintendo gray. But instead of this being gray all around and then having like the indigo trim, which I think would have been a better decision, Nintendo decided to go indigo for the color. I'm not sure why. I don't know why they thought it was so important for the Nintendo Dolphin codename to have this purple color. And again, it's petty. It seems petty. It seems ridiculous, but this just helped to solidify. Oh, it's a kitty box. And the sad thing is that this is a great piece of tech, especially for the time when this came out. This was cutting edge. This was more powerful than Sony's PlayStation 2. So It was under the Xbox, but not far under. This is a little beast right here. And so it just kind of threw off the idea of what it actually was, with this being a little computing beast, by putting a handle on it and making it purple, indigo. Now, there was a lot of, I think there was like Silicon graphics workstations or something or whatever that this was trying to kind of mimic the look of, because those did have handles so they can carry them around the office and just, hook up to wherever. I think that had a lot to do with it, but it just didn't work at the time. It just seemed kiddie, and again kiddie. And you got to remember, man, this is super dusty. I'm noticing this now. You got to remember, a lot of the Genesis Does kids and the Super Nintendo versus Genesis kids which I was part of, we all had hit, late teens, early 20s. And so we're growing up. It was already hard enough to justify playing video games, because it was a way bigger stigma in that time as far as gaming. And it's not like it's a great, no problems now. But the stigma was way greater. And so to play video games, you wanted the mature, you wanted the hardcore stuff so you can defend your purchases. You can defend playing games. And so that also did not help. The look of this did not help. It's like, I'm not buying that kid's toy. Now, I obviously, it's a Nintendo. I'm not going to pass up Nintendo. So I obviously still bought it. But I knew that the design of this would be an issue for some people. I just want to check the chat and make sure it's working real quick, because there are some people in here, but nothing's happening as far as the chat. So I'm going to, where's mine? Right here. I'm just going to test. I'm going to hit test. Let's see if it's working. All right, so going to give it a second, let that pop up if it will on my. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I knew the design. I was like, this is not going to do well. This is not going to go over well. And that was, the butt of jokes. A lot of the jokes that came with the GameCube was how it looked visually. It looked like a kid's toy. A purple lunchbox is what people called it. Yeah, so I knew that was going to be a problem. But they always they had all the other colors. Okay, so it is working. They had all the other colors. Potential colors. So we had platinum. I was going to say silver, but platinum, which is the third one I got. And then it had black. Now, a part of me believes that the black GameCube is the one I actually got. Because I think, at least in North America, Dusty, at least in North America, black and indigo were the two colors at launch. And I think black was probably harder to get, but I felt like I got it. And I think this might even be my launch GameCube. I feel like this actually is my launch GameCube, not the indigo one. I think I got that one later. But the reason I think it may not be true is that Game Boy Advance. I had gotten a Game Boy Advance, and I probably wanted to match the color of my Game Boy. My Game Boy Advance was atomic purple, so it was like a clear, see-through purple. And part of me thinks that I would have wanted to have the same colors, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But one of these two, is my day one launch GameCube, and they both work still perfectly fine. And I think in 2003, I ended up getting the Platinum GameCube, which is probably my favorite look. And I did have another GameCube that I bought. I think it was another purple one. another Indigo one, and I ended up selling it. So, but I actually want to get another one. I want to get the Spice one. That's a Japanese one, and just put a mod chip in it so I can play all games from all regions. But yeah, so let's talk about the launch titles. Uh, like I said, the GameCube was a beast, and I think one launch title in particular never got surpassed visually. So let's go over what I actually bought. Now, one game I bought I don't actually own anymore at launch, but I'll tell you which one that is. So yeah, Dave Mirra 2, Freestyle BMX. I was really into BMXing back then. A lot of kids like Tony Hawk and whatnot. I couldn't skate to save my life, so my thing was BMXing. And so, oh, and by the way, R.I.P. to Dave Mirra. I think he died a couple years ago. And Wave Race Blue Storm. Now, there was no way I wasn't going to get Wave Race. I love Wave Race on the N64. And this one is just a little off. I don't know. Control-wise, something's off about this game. It's not as precise as N64. That may sound crazy, but yeah, something's just off with this game. So it wasn't, to me, as good, or at least as impactful as Wave Race on N64. These are all titles I bought day one. Luigi's Mansion. Here's another reason I think some people may have been turned off by GameCube. Up until this point, we had gotten a Mario title, a major Mario title, with the launch of each Nintendo console. This is the first time we didn't. We got this basically tech demo. I mean, it looks great, plays great. It's a great game. It's super short. You can run through it in 4.5, 5 hours or something like that. And, it was very different. It started the Nintendo being obsessed with Mario characters with backpacks. And so you got the Poltergust 3000, I think it's called, which sucks up ghosts. But again, this game visually, especially for its time, fantastic. But, it was very different. It wasn't a Mario platformer, something that was a system seller, something that's going to sell the game system. But it was, great, fun game. I really liked the visual style. This is actually was supposed to be a 3D game. Nintendo had this idea of adding an overlay or something like that. You can put it on your TV or something to make the game, in 3D. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about how the visual style of this game is, like the camera and how it's set up. But they were able to do that, rectify this in the second game, Dark Moon, which is a 3DS game. So they brought the 3D back for that, and then they again turned around and put 3D in the original game, this one, for 3DS. So very cool that Nintendo realized their vision for the game from the beginning. But yeah, this was unfortunately not a system seller. And I think this game was supposed to be a system seller, and I think it did sell some GameCubes. As you can see, this is player's choice. So I ended up rebuying this because I ended up selling it or trading it in or something at one point, and I ended up getting it back. But this game is phenomenal. Visually, sound-wise, Factor 5 went in and made the sequel to Rogue Squadron amazing. This is a sequel to the N64 game, Rogue Squadron. So this game, visually fantastic, blew me away. 60 frames, solid, all the way through, and it just I mean, they were making comparisons to this in like the special edition of the original trilogy and how close some of the visuals were. Um, and that, I mean, that's just how good this game looks. It still looks good. A remaster of this would definitely be in order because it's just a great game, but it looks so good still that I don't think it would take a whole lot to remaster this. But fantastic game, but not a Nintendo first party game, and not the system seller I think Nintendo wanted it to be. And also, I got back into Madden with Madden 2002 because I had fallen off. I was a quarterback club gamer as far as football goes on the N64, and then Dreamcast came out with NFL 2K, and I always loved NFL 2K, and Dreamcast kind of died and started going away, and this is the Madden I got back into Madden with 2002 because I hadn't played Madden. I didn't like Madden on N64. I didn't like the Maddens, the 3D Maddens up on the fifth gen. So got back in with this, and this was a really good one. Dante Culpepper. And the other game that I had that I'm not showing because I still don't have it is Super Monkey Ball. I thought I at least had the disc somewhere. And like I said before, I lost some of my cases and stuff. Pikmin, which is a launch window game. I ended up losing that. At least the case got ruined. I still have the game, the disc itself, but the case got ruined. And other games. So let's look at some of the standouts for the GameCube. But before we do that, let's look at some of the peripherals. Peripherals? I always confuse the two. All right, so obviously here's the controller, which is very beloved even to this day. Unwrap this thing. Super long cord. But there's a Nintendo GameCube controller. I'm like all in the light here. Maybe there's too much light from this one. Or maybe it's probably this one. Yeah. I bring my light back here. Yeah, so there's a GameCube controller, super duper comfortable. The analog triggers are great. But again, there were some quirks to this when you compared it to like the DualShock 2 and whatnot. But, I remember Miyamoto in a magazine was talking about the A button and how it's the big action button and it just feels great pressing it, and all that is true. The satellite buttons, I think they called them, the X and Y, were just perfect. You can perfectly slide to them. It just felt, coming from the A button, felt great. And the B button as well. And that B button was kind of the cancel button. As you can see, they colored them green for go and red for stop or back. So, really good design. And then you have the C stick or the C nub, the C nipple. And again, it's just a second analog stick, but Nintendo had to be different. And it's a camera stick. So worked great for all that stuff. Now the thing is, Nintendo lost some face buttons going from the N64. You usually want at that time you wanted 6 or more or whatever, but even today we have 4 face action buttons on controllers. It's universal. So I remember people talking about that like it was a bad thing. I didn't think it was a big deal, but anyway, I think the one quote unquote big deal was the analog, or not analog, but the shoulder buttons. So Nintendo only had 3. If you count this stiff Z button. So this used to be the Z trigger on the N64, and they moved it up here and called it a Z button. I don't know why they just left the other side with nothing. They should have at least given us ZR and ZL at the time. I don't know why. They still named it Z. I don't know why they did that. They could have just named it, you know, they didn't want to do what Sony was doing, calling it, L1 and L2, R1 and R2. They could have, like I said, they could have named it ZL, ZR. So it was kind of weird that it didn't have another button on the side there, shoulder button, but whatever. And the D-pad is a joke. Like, that's just not a good D-pad. It's fine for like using inventory, quick, quick button, quick click for your inventory if you mapping things to it or something like that. But as far as like using it for movement, not great. And Nintendo was like the king of D-pads, so this was kind of a disappointment. And it sucks because the controller they brought out after this, which was kind of revolutionary, would have been able to alleviate this. Now, like I said, the design is great. It feels great, but the Wavebird also feels great in your hands. It's very similar. And that's what we have here, the Wavebird. This was the first time, basically, wireless was good. And I was doing the Wavebird controller. And like I said, it's very similar. So, they use the same D-pad size-wise, but it just felt better here. But they could have made it bigger. They could have gotten rid of this whole bezel here and made it a bigger D-pad. And they could have done the same thing here. Instead of having this kind of open space on the GameCube, or this open area here, instead of having that, they could have just done what they did with the Wavebird, closed that up, and made the D-pad bigger. But hindsight is 2020 on GameCube's 20. But yeah, so again, the Wavebird's the same thing, but this is fantastic. So it came with this little radio. I think it's RF dongle here. Mine has a nice Samus sticker on it. And the cool thing, I've shown this before, is when you move or press any buttons or whatever, you get this little green light. So it was like perfect to put Samus's visor right over that green light. And so when I move using the Wavebird, Samus's visor lights up. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, it's just fantastic controller. It just still to this day feels great to grip in your hands. And yeah, these have gotten somewhat expensive, I think, lately, in the last few years. And you need this, for it to work. So it's just one of those things. But anyway, another accessory. One of the best accessories ever for any console is, as you can see on the bottom here, this black area is my Game Boy player. Now this plays Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games and lets you play them on your TV. Fantastic. Has a great little interface. Actually, that's why I had these games out. Let's see if I can find them. Where did I put them? Where did I put my Game Boy? Okay, so here you have a very expensive game on Game Boy. This game's starting to run up and hit $1,000 complete. As you can see, mine is complete in box. This is a very rare game for the Game Boy. So it's gotten really expensive lately. I had it and I didn't realize it was that expensive. I looked it up a few months ago. Where are my flipping games? I had a game I wanted to put in here and show you what it looks like, but just be really careful with this since it's a relic. It's very expensive. Pull that out. The game itself, you just buy it separately. It's expensive. It's like $100. But so you put this in to your Game Boy player at the bottom here. I'm putting it upside down. Look at me. Put it in that way. Push it in. There you go. Then on the side, you have this little thing that shoots it out. Eject button. So it'll come out. and you don't have to like struggle to pull it out. So it's great. And like I said, you get cool little interface on your TV screen. You can do cool little things to it, to the game itself. I think scan lines are in there, but you can do cool borders and whatnot. And it's a great feature for the Game Boy. I mean, Nintendo was doing a lot to try to add value to the GameCube and get it to sell better. Didn't really work as much. Oh, I want to show you the memory card. The memory cards were not great. The kind of stock memory cards. But then they had I think these were the 256. Can't remember what these are. These black ones here. They originally came out with the gray ones. I think they were like 56 megabytes. It was tiny. You could barely fit a season of Madden on there. And so I got a couple of these. They were more expensive, obviously. But then I also, it's third-party stuff, which 16 basically times the size of what Nintendo was putting out. And the Mad Catz one there, so that's cool. Yeah, so that was great. And oh yeah, for the Game Boy Player to work, you have to have this, which is a little disc that goes into your GameCube, and it basically speaks to your Game Boy Player and lets you use the software. So you'll see Game Boy Players for decent prices, but they won't have this disc because they know you need this disc to play it. Unless I think you can mod them. You can mod them now to where you don't need the disc. But this disc is super expensive. Like, this disc can run you about $100 because they know it's very necessary. You need this. And a lot of people lost it because it's two separate pieces. So people lost these, unfortunately. But yeah, let's get into some more games. Let's get into some standouts here. And one of my favorites is Soul Calibur 2. Because, as you can see on the front there, in the GameCube version, Link is a playable character. He's OP as hell, which is cool. He has some really good moves. And this is the highest selling version of this game for the lowest selling console. And I think it had a lot to do with Link, because he was the best character, easily. I think the PS2 version had Hayachi, and the Xbox version had Spawn, if I'm not mistaken. Another great standout title. This was actually a port from the Dreamcast, but it was an enhanced port. There's more things in this than the original Dreamcast version, so very cool. And that's why they call it Legends, because it's just Skies of Arcadia on Dreamcast, but this is Skies of Arcadia Legends. Didn't you lose a lot of games when your house flooded? No, it wasn't games that I lost. You remember, Lucid? It was cases and boxes. So because they got ruined from the flood, but most of the games were fine. I did lose a couple, but nothing crazy. But it was mostly cases to games and boxes, because artwork and whatnot got ruined. Obviously, cardboard boxes are not going to survive water and stuff. So, yeah, Skies of Arcadia Legends, great RPG. If you haven't played it, it's kind of expensive on GameCube. I think it's expensive on Dreamcast as well. Emulation is probably the best for this, and they need to re-release this, port it out, do something. But yeah, Lucid, it was game cases that I lost. Here's another game that needs to come back. They didn't get his due on the GameCube because it came out really late on GameCube, and like I said, GameCube didn't sell that great. Oddly enough, it only sold a couple million less than the Xbox, but people act like it was just destroyed. But Xbox didn't do a whole lot better. Xbox did better because it did better in mind share, and market, and the game sold better a lot because of the online Xbox Live. So, but yeah, Geist is amazing. Basically, you play as a ghost that can possess things, animate or inanimate. You can possess a trash can, whatever you need. And it's like a puzzle game in ways. I mean, it is a shooter as well. But you got to think about, you know, you have to first how to try to find ways to scare people if you want to possess people and use them to do things. So you got to use inanimate objects to first scare them to make them susceptible to being possessed. So it's really clever. And it's sad that this game didn't get its due. Like I said, this is a late GameCube title, so they needed to like wait for the Wii for this. I think it would have worked really well in the Wii with the motion control, but it worked just fine on GameCube. I'm just saying it would have been maybe more recognized for that. But man, fantastic game. Highly recommend. I don't think it's that expensive. I think it's still decent. Actually, I'm gonna look. We're gonna do this real time. I'm gonna look and see. Oh my phone's about to die. So let's see if I can do this before my phone dies. So Geist, eBay's a good source. Amazon's a little bit more expensive. So I'm gonna look on eBay. Geist GameCube. Let's see what they cost. See what it's running for. Yeah. Right now there's a best offer for $40. You can get a cheaper copy for that. This is just a buy it now price. But yeah, it's still not that expensive. So, because there are a lot of GameCube games that are like 80, 90, and I have some of them used approaching that. So, here we have Metal Gear Solid, The Twin Snakes. This is the kind of remaster of the original game by Silicon Knights. This is not the original cover. This is my own cover because my cover got ruined. And this is one of the covers I replaced. And I lost manuals as well. So I don't think, the manual's not in here. So the manual's gone. But there's the games. And I actually like my custom artwork better than what the actual artwork is. It's like an in-game model. Really polygonal looking thing. So I don't think it's that great. I think mine looks better. But Twin Snakes is very cool. I'm sure you guys know what that's about. I'm not going to go into that too much. And now we're going to get into the Capcom 5. Now I'm a little confused because I think the Capcom 5 for GameCube, it was a deal Nintendo made with GameCube, with Capcom to put games out. But the Capcom 5 was one game that got canceled, if I'm not mistaken, and 4 others that came out. So I have here Resident Evil 4. I believe that's part of the Capcom 5. Resident Evil 0, I'm pretty sure as well because that was exclusive. Killer 7. Maybe not Resident Evil 0. I don't know. Can't remember what the Capcom 5 is right now. So I have Resident Evil 0, Killer 7, product number 3, PN03. And Beautiful Joe. Now, I don't know if Beautiful Joe was part of the Capcom 5 or not. Maybe that's the one that wasn't, but here you go. Resident Evil 4, needs no introduction. Everybody knows this game is the game, and I can have a nice, beautiful, pristine, still, somehow, complete copy of it. And we have Resident Evil 0, which was wholly original. New game. I missed out on Geist. Still want to get it. Yeah, you should get it. It's a fantastic game. Lucid. What else did I miss you were saying here? I don't know why people shit on Twin Snakes. It was a great remake and the game that made me a fan of the series. Yeah, it's I think it's fantastic. And I don't know why people hate on it, but people hate on things. What can I say? So Resident Evil 0, completely original, new Resident Evil game. Pretty cool. Killer 7. Maybe Killer 7 was not part of the Capcom 5. I don't know. That's probably the one that wasn't part of it. Fantastic game. Suda 51. He's crazy. His games are insane and stylistic as hell. Suda, I'm sure you guys know Suda. Obviously, No More Heroes. He's fantastic. So, Killer 7, highly recommend this game. You can get it on Steam too. I believe this is on Steam as well, an HD version of it. So, great game. Like I said earlier, PNO3, product number 3. I always call it project, but it's product, as you can see there. This game is all style, not a whole lot of substance. But the style is very cool. It's just that the level design is kind of bland and it gets kind of boring, repetitive looking. But it is what it is. The star of artist says, yeah, Joe is part of it. So maybe it's Killer 7 that's not part of it. Star of artist. So yeah, I think makes sense that Beautiful Joe is. And speaking of Beautiful Joe, there it is right there. I believe my copy is still complete, right? Yeah. Fantastic side-scrolling beat-em-up platform. It's not platformer. Side-scrolling beat-em-up. Fantastic. Love this game. And its sequel, Beautiful Joe 2. Nothing. I don't know. I'm checking now. But yeah, all complete. Good stuff. Great GameCube games. Oh, this is one of my favorite. It's not a GameCube game specifically, but this is the system I played it on. And I love, to this day, love the hell out of this game. Waiting on that sequel. And that is Beyond Good and Evil. This game, so good. Highly recommend it if you've not played this game. Again, you can play it on Steam. I believe it's on Steam as well, so you don't have to have a GameCube and do crazy things like I do with the original hardware. But fantastic game. I think it still holds up. I think it will still hold up. Play it. It's great. One of my favorite games in that era, Beyond Good and Evil. And nobody bought it because Ubisoft put it out next to like super major titles, even their own. Like they put it out next to Prince of Persia, which Prince of Persia killed everything. So yeah, Lucid says Capcom was a huge supporter of the GameCube at first. Yes, it was. I mean, that was a crazy, unprecedented deal. You know, they put out all those games, and I'll get to. Oh, do I have it here? One of the most important games. Well, they put out. Yeah, it's in here. I'll get to it later. Another awesome game that I actually missed out on. I had a few years ago. I had one of my subscribers hounding me about this game. Why don't you play this game? Why don't you have this game? And then I bought it earlier last year. Was it? No, it had to be last year. I bought it early last year, and like I think a few weeks later they announced HD remasters, and I was like, oh, should have just waited for that because it was still kind of pricey for GameCube. And I was like, oh, just wait. So I decided I'll keep this and I'll wait and play the remaster version. And then I heard the remaster version has problems, and I'm like, ah. So I ended up not even getting around to playing this game yet. I played it a little bit, but you know, and I know I've played it a couple hours, but I already know, I can tell that this is a great game, and I got to get back to playing this and beating it. But yeah, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Again, I can't recommend the remastered version because of the issues. Maybe they fix them at this point, but I don't know. Yes. Another great Silicon Knights game, Eternal Darkness. This was supposed to be an N64 game. I remember reading about it on N64 magazine, anticipating it coming out on N64. It got pushed to the GameCube, which is probably better that it did because it got all the voice and all that stuff. I think a game like this needs all that. So, but I think it might have had voice and all that in the original version, N64 version. But anyway, fantastic game. I could tell you about the sanity meter and all that kind of stuff. You guys already know all that stuff, I'm sure. Some of that stuff maybe not hold up because of technology today versus what it was back then. So But the game itself is just fantastic. The story is it's just this is great. This is like I would love to see this in a movie form. Fantastic. You play as all these different characters, and it just works. This is clearly the best game that came out of Factor. I keep saying Factor 5 came out of Silicon Knights. This is their best game. It's fantastic. I actually this is a copy I bought off Juice. My original copy had some wonkiness to it, and I think it stopped playing. I think I was live streaming it, and it stopped working. It would say error and what disk error, and so I ended up buying this off of Terminator Juice and selling that old because people still want the artwork and all that stuff, and somebody thought he could fix the scratch. And I'm sure he could, but GameCube games are so for me were hard to fix as far as scratches and whatnot to resurface them. But so this is Juice's copy. It's pristine. It's probably not easy to see here, but this is like it looked like he bought it off the shelf before he gave it to me, brand new. I mean, it looks fantastic. It looks great. Oh yeah, Time Splitters 2. And as you can probably see, maybe you can't. There's some water damage on this one. There's bubbling up and whatnot in the artwork, but it was fine enough to where I just didn't care. And I'll just keep this one. But somehow, look at the manual. The manual is perfect. But the artwork, you can probably even see it. It's kind of sticking a little bit to the plastic. But whatevs. It's fine. Time Splitters 2, made by the team that made GoldenEye, basically. And you can see it in the look of it and just the way the gunplay works. Fantastic series, the Time Splitter series. And I think THQ Nordic is bringing this back. They own it now, the IP, if I'm not mistaken. And so they're bringing back Time Splitters. So that's very cool. All right. Next up, Burnout 2. Now, Burnout 1, I also loved on GameCube. This is not exclusive. But fantastic. I love Burnout 1 and Burnout 2. Those are my two favorites. I know people love when they got super over the top with Burnout 3 and all that stuff, but I think it got a little too over the top. This was like the perfect balance of the Burnout stuff for me. And great series. Regardless, it's not like it's the older ones that are not good, but fantastic. Crash. What do they call it? What is it called? I mean, you're supposed to crash. Basically, there's a mode in here, crash mode, where you just try to pile up as much damage, as possible. It's great stuff. Virtual Quest. This is I think still a console exclusive from Sega, and it's like an RPG with like big Sega characters like Akira from Virtua Fighter and whatnot. There's some Virtua Fighter characters in here. Not a great game, not bad, but probably not what they wanted it to be, or what I wanted it to be, but still decent. This one might be collectible at this point. Actually, let me check it. I don't know. Let's see. Virtual Quest. Virtua Quest. I'm not even going to put GameCube in. Oh, no, it's on PS2 as well. I thought it was... Let's see, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. Yep, it's a PS2 game as well. I thought it was an exclusive. Alright. So... Well, not crazy expensive. But... Looks like 60 and up. I'd say it's averaging about 65 on eBay, so somewhat collectible. But it's only because it's rare, at least on GameCube. I wonder if the PS2 version goes for. I bet that one doesn't go for nearly as much. Let's see. PS2. Yeah. Well, it's not cheap. no manual. There's one for no manual for $18. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place. But yeah, so it's an okay game. Oh yeah, one of my favorites. Series that needs to come back, especially with Advance Wars 1 and 2 being remastered. Can we get some love for Battalion Wars, which is basically kind of a spin-off to Advance Wars? It's real-time 3D battles. Fantastic fun. I think about these games and I'm like, these would have been great multiplayer online games if the GameCube allowed that. And that was one of the big problems with GameCube as well. No online, but only towards the end of its life. It didn't matter as much in the first couple years, but when Xbox Live really got going and Sony got going with the PS2 online, us GameCube guys were envious and wanted some GameCube online. Let's see. Lucid says, I'm old enough to remember when Shinji Mikami promised that Resident Evil 4 wasn't going to be on game, was going to be a GameCube exclusive, to the point where he said he would cut off his head if it was ported. I remember that. Yep, I remember that. And I was like, oh yeah, GameCube, baby. And I think within a year, it was on PS2. Well, he had no control of that. So he probably should have never made that claim. Capcom was a huge... I read that already. And Lucid says, Eternal Darkness is great. Too bad the spiritual successor never got made. Yeah, Shadow of the Eternals. But I don't know if that... I don't know. I don't trust Dennis Dyack. There's something sleazy about that dude. So that might have never happened. Now, here is one of the most expensive games at this point on GameCube. And again, because it's super rare. It's probably sold in the 20s of 30s of thousands of copies or something. And, needs a remaster. Why isn't this game re-released or remastered or something? And that is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Fan-freaking-tastic. A lot of people, never played this game. And I think, because a lot of people were like, Fire Emblem Awakening was their Fire Emblem that got them into the series, but this is to me it is just as accessible. It's not crazy hardcore or anything like that. At least I don't feel like it is, but it's a great tactical RPG. Loads of fun, great battle system, great world. It's fantastic, and this one is one of my games that got ruined as well. At least the artwork. Not the artwork. I don't know. I think the artwork is original. But the manual is a repro. And you can't really tell, but if you look right there, it says reproduction. Right there. So they're honest, they're not trying to pass it off as original. But this game goes for over 300 at this point. And even though this copy, I could still, if I wanted to sell it, which I wouldn't, I could still get that for this with the repro booklet even. Fantastic game though. I don't know why. You remember Nintendo did that anniversary thing for Fire Emblem, and they gave like the original one or something like that, and it wasn't even like a physical copy. Super lame. They had done that and put this in there, everybody would have this, because everybody wants that game, but it's so expensive to get used. So, all right. So I go back and forth on this one as being my favorite in the series or not, and that is F-Zero GX. This game is glorious. This is one of those games where it's just like, Nintendo, just make this in HD, put it online, and it's going to sell crazy. That's all you got to do. And it totally would. It is freaking-tastic. One of the best games, to me, ever made. Super fast, gorgeous, 60 frames, solid. fleshed out all the crazy characters in F-Zero. So just great. This is made by Sega, and they also made an arcade uh, version. I think they used the architecture to make an arcade version of this as well. And just fantastic. I think you can take your memory card, and it would interact with the arcade game. Fantastic, just great. And I wish Nintendo would remember F-Zero GX and give us, a remaster, something. Here's another game that, as you can see, is a player's choice copy. Because I didn't get this. I don't think I bought Assault until like 2007. Because it came out so late, I just kind of missed it. And again, it was a different time, so I wasn't checking for it. I wasn't reading magazines and following up on this one as much. This one was made by Namco. Before it was Bandai Namco, right? I don't know if they're on the back here, as you can see, Namco. And they were also going to do a arcade version, but they never did. They just focused on this because I think they were having some development issues. And so, like I bought the Player's Choice version because I wasn't there day one on Star Fox. This was like the first Star Fox I didn't buy day one. Because I just wasn't, I don't know. It was a different time. I was in college, so I wasn't really focused as much. But love this game. This is where Star Fox should have continued going to the evolution of it. There's a lot of unfoot missions people didn't like. They're not great control wise, but they're still great ideas. The ability of this game is so cool because you could, technically, you could run around on foot. You can jump into a Landmaster tank, and then you could jump into an R-Wing. And that's how Star Fox should be. That's amazing. And it should have kept going in this direction. Instead of trying to go back and rekindle the Star Fox 64, which is the best-selling one. But it's only because they didn't continue trying to innovate with that game. And here we have Wario World, which is a fantastic game made by Treasure. Treasure, that game studio was truly a treasure. Perfect name for them. They have so many great games under their belt. Especially Nintendo games that you wouldn't know that was made by them, like this, and Sin and Punishment is also a treasure game. Lovely. All right, here it is, Star Fox Adventures, Rare's last game with Nintendo. You've heard me, talk about Dinosaur Planet and how I wish I had that, and not Star Fox Adventures. Them shoehorning Fox into this game. This game is not my favorite. It's very kind of, low budget Zelda clone with Star Fox characters. And I wish they would have just left it alone. Miyamoto left it alone. Let Rare make their own game. But it's okay. Visually, it is amazing. Still to this day, the water effects and the fur effects in this game are great. But the world is just really pretty. So it's one of the best looking games on Switch, on GameCube to this day. Star Fox Adventures. But not one of my favorites. I bought it, obviously, and I played through it, and I barely remember it. I played through it at least 1.5 times. I don't know if I finished it on the second playthrough. But I barely remember this game. It's just really bland to me. Nothing stands out, except for Crystal, who became a staple Nintendo character, so that's cool. And she's sparingly used too, so it is what it is on that. All right, so we lost Rare, like I said, really early on with the GameCube. And so No More Perfect Darks and whatnot. And everybody loved GoldenEye and N64, including myself. Played the crap out of it with my friends through the middle of the night, wee early hours of the mornings, and then having to go to work, half asleep. Great times. But that multiplayer experience was great. But I think people slept on the multiplayer experience in this game because it is pretty close in many ways. Nightfire. I love this game. For me, it's GoldenEye and then Nightfire right behind it. This game gave me that feeling of GoldenEye on GameCube. Obviously, this is a multiplat, but obviously I have the GameCube version. And the multiplayer in this is so stinking good. If this was online, man, it would have been great. And I think about, all kinds of stuff like Mario Kart and Smash Melee. Those games would have helped the GameCube sell way better if they were online. But anyway, this is a fantastic Bond game. Fantastic. And it's not based on a movie. It could be a movie. It could have been a movie, but it's not based on one. And it's great. Just the single player is great, and the multiplayer is fantastic. Again, me and my friends had a ton of fun playing this. Family members as well. All rocket launchers. Great fun. Nightfire. Love the theme song too. One of my favorite theme songs for Bond. Let's see here. Coincidentally, I asked my girlfriend to go and to a used game sale today to look and see if they had Star Fox Assault or Geist, but sadly nothing. Yeah, those are two great games, two great picks. Lucid also says, I think there's a ROM of Dinosaur Planet on N64 somewhere out there. Yeah, hold on a second. I'm just gonna Lucid. This is for you, Lucid, since you brought that up. Hang on a second. All right. Ouch. Bumped my knee. So Lucy said there's a ROM of Dinosaur Planet out there. There you go, Lucid. Dinosaur Planet for the N64. Yes, there is a ROM out there, and people have been printing cartridges, and I had to get it, of course. You probably missed it, but I actually did a video comparing these two and talking about them and all that good stuff. So go check it out, man. I did a live stream and I did like a comparison video. So the Starved Artist always thought Nintendo should have acquired Rare. I don't think they've been the same since being purchased micro. Yeah, well, I don't know why Nintendo didn't just acquire them outright. They should have. I think that also would have helped the GameCube because Rare made more mature titles that Nintendo didn't make. Hold on, hold on, Lucid. One more thing. I went all out. Hold on. Let me see if I can spot it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm dropping stuff, knocking stuff over here. All right. Let's open that back up. All right, so I showed you this, Lucid. See that, right? Mm-hmm. But I went all out. I actually got the box as well. As you can see, this looks like the real deal. It's in a protective case. That's why it's all shiny. It's in a plastic protective case. But this is like original artwork. That's the artwork from the actual game itself, Dinosaur Planet. And look at it. I mean, this looks like an authentic. Box and box art for Dinosaur Planet. Look at that. You even have the original. What's his name? I can't remember his name in the original game. The original Fox. But yes, yes, the cartridge works. Put it in. This is the ROM onto a cartridge. This is a real cartridge. If you want to get it, you can hop on eBay. That's where I saw it. It's around $50, 50 to 60, depending. And I actually saw the box for like 12 or $13. So not bad. And it looks really good. I mean, it's hard to see because of all this glare and whatnot. Look at that. Only for N64. Expansion pack required. There's so much detail on this thing. So much detail. What's the one thing that I was really surprised? Oh yeah, the Nintendo Power at the top there. It's hard to see with this camera. Let me see if I can get it closer. And it's not gonna. Oh, there it is. Official Nintendo Power Player's Guide that does not exist, but they went all out to put that on there to make it seem even more authentic. So yeah, I got this from eBay, Lucid, and I think it's. I looked not too long ago. There's still copies, so go get yours. Dope. And yes, you can play all the way up to the end, I believe, and it gets weird at the end, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So pretty cool. Very cool. Very cool. But back to GameCube. This is GameCube Celebration. All right, here it is. Resident Evil. This is like the remaster. This is the only one that was remastered. I thought they all were, all the Resident Evils, because they're all on GameCube up until Resident Evil 4. But again, this is my own personal artwork that I created myself. I didn't create it myself, but it's I made it. Is the game complete or is it missing parts? The game is complete enough to let you get up to the end, Lucid. And I think you can beat the final boss, but then it gets wonky after that. But you can pretty much play the entire game, if I'm not mistaken. And people have been patching it to fix stuff. So I would say within a year, it'll be modded and complete by the fans. Fan community is really cool on it. So maybe you want to wait. But I got it because this probably won't be around forever. So at least if it comes out later, I still have this, instead of just the digital ROM. So, but yeah, Resident Evil looks really good. Looked really good on GameCube. A really good remake of the original Resident Evil, or not remake, I guess remaster. All right, here's one of those launch window games that were great for the GameCube, and that is Smash Melee. What do I need to talk about Smash Melee? Do I need to say that you don't already know about Melee? Still some people's favorite Melee game. I think Ultimate is it for me, but there's elements in this that I wish Ultimate had. Like shoot the targets, all that. I wish they would bring that stuff back. I really enjoyed that. Subspace I really enjoyed. I wish Ultimate was actually Ultimate and added that stuff in. That would make it truly Ultimate. All right. Mario Golf, Toadstool Tour. Do I like this one better than the N64 one? I don't know. It's close. Toadstool Tour is awesome. Mario Golf. This is when Mario Golf was really good. I was hoping the new one for Switch would be on par with this one. It's not. So I'll just rock with this one for now. But Toadstool Tour is great. All right, now we're getting to a peripheral I forgot. And it's for this game and two other games, as far as I know. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. And as you can see, the DK bongos there. This game is super unique. You control Donkey Kong by tapping on the bongos. Whole lot of fun. All right, so let me unwind this thing here. There you go. The bongos, man. So you go. Actually, it'd be facing you, so this is facing it. But you go left and right by tapping. These are giant buttons up here, left and right, and then To attack, I believe, is clap. So there's a little microphone there. Wait, there's a microphone at the top. So if you clap, that's an attack. And you tap them both at the same time to jump. And it becomes second nature. It seems like a lot, but it's actually really cool. And highly recommend this game if you don't have it. And using the DK bongos is the way to play. Now you can play with a controller, but not nearly as intuitive, not nearly as fun. So it's dope. Love Jungle Beat. It's pretty short, but a lot of fun. All right, here's a game I missed out on. Actually, no. This is a game that the artwork got ruined. This is the actual bestseller version. You can kind of see where I just kind of sharpied over the yellow part because I don't like it. I didn't like it for this game specifically because it already had this yellow here. Anyway, this is the original, not bestseller version, but the artwork is bestseller because it was the only one I could find at the time. I couldn't find. I should have just modded or not. Should have just done my own thing in Photoshop. I was a little tough though because of the yellow and whatnot. But anyway, Thousand Year Door, everybody's favorite Paper Mario, the last Paper Mario for a lot of people. This is the last one that was like an RPG straight up, no gimmicks, just RPG, and a lot of fun. Great story, great characters, fantastic. And yeah, part of me, I'm okay with what they're doing with Paper Mario at this point. But yeah, there's definitely a part of me that would love to play Paper Mario like these games, the first two, put it out. So Thousand Year Door needs a remaster. It's one of those games that still looks great. It's probably aged really well, especially if you put it in HD. Double Dash! Everybody loves Double Dash. I love Double Dash. This game should have been online. This would have sold GameCubes like crazy. But unfortunately it wasn't. But still, regardless, fantastic. Do I like this better than Mario Kart 64? Probably. I mean, Mario Kart 64, all the way up until Mario Kart 7, or Mario Kart DS was my favorite. So DS overtook my favorite, overtook being my favorite Mario Kart game. But it was probably this up until then. Just a game looks gorgeous on GameCube. And again, if you just HD remasters Dolphin, this game on Dolphin emulator looks fantastic. 60 frames, rock solid, beautiful. Animation's great, beautiful game. Nintendo games just hold up, man, when they do them right. So great. Double Dash. Everybody wants that Double Dash mechanic back. Here's one of my favorites. I would say it's a hidden gem because not a lot of people talk about it. I think it's Sega's last kind of, or Sega Sonic Team's last original IP, and that is Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This game, I love this game. Love the music, love the concept of the rooster suit, the egg mechanic, just rolling around a giant egg. It's kind of like Katamari in that way, but much different. I just love Billy Hatcher's design. It's just Scream Saturday Morning Cartoon 1992, 1994. This is just... this needed a cartoon. Like, this needed its own cartoon. It's great. It's fantastic. I love this game. And again, I love the soundtrack. Love it. It reminded me of Knights, Sonic Team, man. Very good stuff. Hidden gem. Get it. If you don't have it, get it. Lucid says GameCube was so underrated and Paper Mario was fantastic. Yes, it was. All right. I mean, another game that needs no introduction. But actually, this is 2 games because again, my artwork was destroyed, and so I ended up going in. No. This is not an artwork destroyed situation. This is I traded these in. So I traded my original copies of Prime and Prime 2 when Prime Trilogy came out. I don't know why I did that. At that point, I wasn't really trading anything, but I just did it. I was like, I don't need Prime 1 and 2 on GameCube anymore. I just get the Trilogy. And that goes for Metroid Prime 3 as well. I traded that in to pay for Prime Trilogy. So I said, I kind of want those GameCube games back again. And so I went back and bought them. And I got a little creative with it. So I bought this version. This version actually is Metroid Prime, and this is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, the demo. So I bought this version so I could put Prime 1 and 2 in this one case. So it's not the demo. I kind of put a little sticker thing to hide the demo part there. And then I have the original games. So that's not a demo for Prime 2. That's actually Prime 2. So I like to be creative like that sometimes. What can I say? But I wanted them back in my GameCube collection, and that did it. All right. Now I always get confused on these. So if you know, let me know. One of these was for pre-ordering Wind Waker, and the other one was for like a what do you call it? What is it magazine called? Nintendo Power. One of these for Nintendo Power subscription, if I'm not mistaken. So this one says promotional disc on the front. I think this is the Power subscription, and Ocarina of Time and Master Quest was for pre-ordering Wind Waker. So these are super collectible. I think they're highly up there in price at this point. And making sure they're both in here. Yep, that's a collector's edition. And that is Ocarina of Time, Master Quest. So yeah. Super collectible games. Obviously, this one has Legend of Zelda. This one has Zelda 2. It also has Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So this has 1 and 2. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I don't know why it doesn't have A Link to the Past. Whatever. And this one just has the Master Quest and Ocarina of Time. And there's some demos on here for 1080, Avalanche, F-Zero, Wind Waker. Well, maybe yeah. Okay, so this is definitely, I think, the Wind Waker one. Pre-ordering for Wind Waker, I got this because it has a demo for Wind Waker on it, and it has Prime, and it has Four Swords Adventures demo. So if you remember, let me know, Lucid. All right, and needs no introduction. My day one, super excited. Not excited at first. I actually want to talk about this real quick because this is one of the things I think hurt GameCube. So we were taking, as Nintendo fans, L's with the GameCube, if you will. We were taking kind of what is it called? Media L's, like we had the purple lunchbox. Games were being rushed because it wasn't selling. Sony and Microsoft were kicking butt. So there's just these little things, mini discs, these tiny little discs for babies, for baby hands, And I think Miyamoto even said that. So small it can fit in a kid's hand, a child's hand. So that was L, right? Like I said, we were the Sega Dreamcast or Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo kids grown up, and we wanted grown-up experience. We didn't want to hear you walking around with a purple lunchbox and all this nonsense. We don't want to hear that stuff. So F-Zero was a video, not a playable demo. Oh, FX. What? The FX0 was a video, not a playable demo? I'm confused. I think you had a typo there, Laker Link. I got both Zeldas as well. Says Lucid. I remember the Ocarina of Time with a pre-order bonus for Wind Waker. Yes. Okay. At Best Buy. Okay. That's what I thought. But anyway, so we're catching all these L's. And then we were like, all right, well, Zelda's coming. Zelda's mature. The last two were kind of dark and mature Zelda games. Okay, so Mario will be the kiddie game, quote unquote kiddie game. Zelda's going to be the big boy game, right? And then we saw Wind Waker, and we saw this big headed, blinky eyed Link winking at the camera. All right, let me read that again. So F-Zero GX. All right, so the F-Zero GX was a video, not a playable demo. Oh, you mean on the, let me look at that again. Where did I put it? Where did I put that? I just had it. Where's Master Quest and Ocarina of Time? Where did I put them? They're missing. I literally just had it. Paper Mario. It can't be under there because I just had it. This is crazy. It's in my hand, folks. All right. So it says... It just says F-Zero on the back. So, sneak peek. All right, so it says sneak peek. So that means video at these other hot titles. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there was demos for any of these. Actually, now that I think about it. Maybe 1080. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. It's videos. You got it. Laker Link, you're right. All right, anyway. So I'm like, oh no. They just kitty-eyed my Zelda now. Super lame. So Nintendo just keeps catching these L's. And here we get this little blinky-eyed 10-year-old Link, and I was very disappointed. Again, this is 20-year-old me. I was feeling different. I was less mature as a person and thinking that this is not cool. This is kid stuff. And so when I saw Link like that, I'm like, man, I got disillusioned. And I'm a super hardcore fan. So imagine just the average gamer that was around my age at the time. I'm not buying that. I'm playing with some little kid on a boat. Like, this is corny. So these are the things that I believe really affected GameCube and its sales. I know it did, because I had friends that wouldn't touch it because of these things. Now it seems silly, but at the time, again, this is a different era. This is a very young video game industry. And these things bothered people. They used to call it Zelda. Yeah, I remember that. Lucid. Zelda. But this game is fantastic. It was my favorite Zelda for a while. Because of the cartoon nature of it, Link emoted. All the characters had these emotions that you couldn't see in most games. You didn't feel it as well. And this game, because of its look, still holds up today. You HD'd it, HDified it, and it looks fantastic. It is a modern looking game. Whereas Twilight Princess does not hold up as well. Twilight Princess is okay, especially the HD one, but it doesn't hold up visually as well as Wind Waker does. And this is there's some dark elements in this game, like the way you take out Ganon at the end. Just the ending altogether, it was somber as hell. I remember watching that like, oh my god, this is horrible. So yeah, it's sad because there were plenty of mature games on GameCube as well. Yeah, and there was. Well, it got overlooked because of Purple Lunchbox, 10-year-old Link, winky face. I remember people talking about these things, and it's sad. And again, I pushed through it because I'm a Super Nintendo fan. I'm a crazy Nintendo fan. But some people just were not. Most gamers were just not gonna care. Not going to push through that stuff. So, Laker Link. Funny thing is, tell people of Resident Evil Remake and Eternal Darkness and all the Resident Evil games, and they still try to knock it down. Yeah, like even, Nintendo was making an effort to say, hey, we got mature stuff, you know. But Resident Evil, at its peak, it was peaking, and now it's starting to peak again. But back then it was peaking, and it still wasn't enough to sell GameCubes. People were very stubborn and silly, and again, I was part of that as well. But I still bought it, but I felt what people felt, and I understood where they were coming from with a lot of that stuff. So, but yeah, this is fantastic. It overtook Ocarina of Time for me for a while as being my favorite, and I kind of went back to Ocarina. But this is right up there as far as my favorite Zeldas go, and this is right down there as far as my favorite my favorite Marios go. This is not my favorite Mario. It's not a bad game. It's just not the Mario game that I wanted after Super Mario 64. And this game was rushed. This game was rushed, and this game was rushed. These games were both rushed because they needed system sellers for GameCube. And then this was rushed because of the Triforce stuff, Triforce quest, and this is rushed because of blue coins. And they took out dungeons in this one, and they put them in Twilight Princess, and they took out worlds from this. So, and they padded it with blue coins. So, but that's not even it's just not polished. Control wise, this is not, and have I done that video? I can't remember. I probably haven't done that video yet. I have all the footage for it. I haven't edited it to show you what I meant by the controls in this game and how they're not great. So I need to get that video out. But yeah, it's just not, for me. I didn't care for the complete tropical theme throughout. It got boring. I loved. God, I hated those blue coins, says Lucid. I loved the variety in Mario games, the variety of worlds, and to just have tropical beaches everywhere was boring and lame to me. I didn't care for the backpack, the water pack mechanic. It wasn't precise. And again, I'm going to show you in that video if you don't believe me. But the mechanic, some people love this game. I take nothing from them. But the me that bought this game at the time, who I was, built up from my experiences as a Nintendo gamer, wasn't my thing. And I noticed a lot of people that are younger than me, like 10 years younger than me, this is like, they love this game. But again, I was an adult that had all these other experiences with Mario games at the time especially, and this did not live up to the quality I had expected from a GameCube Mario title. It was fine. I played through it, but I think this is the first Mario that I didn't 100% complete. This is the first Mario game that I didn't do that with, and I still haven't 100% of this game. Because I just find it very tedious. There's some stuff that just annoys me. I mean, you have levels where Mario can swim around in water, no problem. Has no problem diving under, going under, whatever. And then there's these little segments where if you fall in the water, you die. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I just couldn't get past stuff like that. And the blue coins. And the control issues. Like, when they take that backpack off of you, that water pack, and they put you in those cool kind of Mario 64-esque levels, which thematically I love, but in execution I don't, because once you take that backpack off, the flaws of the controls really show their head. They really show up. I don't know. I'll talk about it in that video. I'll get really deep in it. So wait for that. But yeah, It's an okay game. It's an okay Mario game. It's a good game, but as far as, like I said, Mario and what I was expecting after Mario 64, this wasn't it, Chief. So, and it's there's split. People are split on it. There is definitely a divide when it comes to that game. And the last game I'm going to show in my honorable mentions, just standout games on GameCube. I have more, but I'd be here all night. Lucid says, I agree. It's the weakest 3D Mario. Yeah, I mean, that's where I am. You don't have to agree with me, but that's kind of where I am. Chibi Robo. Fan-stinking-tastic game. Love this game. It's like a task game. You do stuff for this family. You're a little kind of chore robot. It's just quirky as hell. Very cool. And it didn't sell worth a damn. It didn't sell well at all. This game is also very expensive. I think it's in the $200 range at this point. Maybe not quite that. Maybe $150. Let me check it out. Chibi Robo GameCube. Pre-owned $250. Okay, so it went up. Yeah. So it's in the $220 to $250 range for this game. It's because it's super rare. Nobody bought it, so there weren't a lot of copies out there. But I love this game. I wish, again, this is kind of like a Paper Mario situation where the later games didn't stick to kind of this mechanic. They went and did their own thing, which is fine. It's nice to be fresh and do things fresh. But I loved this mechanic, this aspect of it, the chorebot stuff from this game. It's just crazy, quirky Japanese stuff, great stuff. And yeah, great. So that's it for my games I'm going to show. Again, I have a ton of GameCube games. It's one of my biggest collections, but I'm not going to show every game. But, like I said, the GameCube era was tough because Nintendo got a lot of third-party back, but there were droughts on GameCube. I think I need to do a video about that too, because people, in hindsight, looking back, think, oh, the GameCube had great third-party support, and it did. Compared to the N64, it had immaculate third-party support, but it also had. It didn't have day and date stuff a lot of times. Stuff did come out later. It was limited, so yeah. It had a lot of competition. The Xbox was really pushing, trying to find its way in, and PlayStation 2 was killing. That system sold crazy. Almost 160 million units. And, I mean, again, that DVD player could not be denied. It was a big part of why it sold, that DVD player. And so, with it selling, it got more games. And, Sony also was doing some money hatting to keep games off of GameCube and Xbox. So, they don't get as much flack for that. But they did that stuff, too. Microsoft gets a lot of flack for that. But Sony also did that. But, yeah, it's just it was crazy competition. So, coupled with this tough launch because of, like I said, 9/11, and then, games weren't coming out early enough. They didn't have a killer app outside of Rogue Squadron 2, which is a great killer app. But if you don't care about Star Wars, you're not going to sell 10 million copies of that thing. You're not going to sell 3-4 million copies of that like you would of Mario. Because everybody plays it, So, fantastic system, though. So I still play mine to this day. I was playing it through Wii for a while, but then I decided I wanted to play my GameCube again. So I found a nice accessory. As you can see in the back here, this is the Kaiko HDMI. It goes into the, what is it called? Not parallel. What is that port called? It's called the digital AV port. So it goes into the digital AV port where if you got those cables from Nintendo, that's where they would go. But they didn't. They had separate audio, I believe. But this takes audio and video, puts it out into an HDMI. I use the HDMI port there, and it looks fantastic. I also have a video on that, so I mean you can check that out as well on my channel. But I still love playing the GameCube. As you can see, my Game Boy player is also hooked up to it, so it also benefits from that. I should have pulled that out. I have. Oh, I do. I have it close. All right. So there was a controller that came with that you could buy. I think who makes all those controllers? Those cool accessories back in the day. Those N64. They made all those really good N64 controllers. What is that company? I can't remember their name. But they had a controller for the Game Boy player that looked like a Super Nintendo controller. It was purple or indigo. It looked like a Super Nintendo controller, but these buttons over here were GameCube style. So it looked like this. So it had this, but on a Super Nintendo controller. What is their name? It's driving me insane. I can't remember. But anyway, it was great. But now, if you go to buy that thing, I think it's like $1,000. It's insane because they didn't make a whole bunch of them and they didn't sell great. So I just, on a whim, looked up SNES to GameCube adapter, and I found this. SNES to GC. This is made by, because you can tell this is a 3D printed thing here. This is made by, some guy on eBay in the UK. That's the only place I could find it. As you can see, you just plug in your Super Nintendo controller into there, right? And on the end of this is a GameCube port, a GameCube controller port. So you plug this in, and this works just like that $1,000 Mad Catz Nyko. No. It's a... My gosh. They made all those... They made the... the N64 controller that got rid of like the middle... What is it called? Actually, I'm gonna look it up right now because it's driving me crazy that I don't remember the name of that company. And I think they still make stuff. It's not Nyko or Mad Catz. Those aren't bad guesses, though. I'm going to look it up by looking at what is it called? The GameCube GBA controller. GameCube. Game Boy. Let's put Game Boy player. Oops. Forgot the G. Game Boy player. Hori. So, let's see if you can see this from my phone or not. Alright, so yeah, you can see it. So there's the controller. This is authentic, licensed by Nintendo. Game Boy player controller for your GameCube. And this one's probably not that much. Okay, this one's $275. But I think if you buy one, or you're looking for one, I'll just put Ori, now that I remember the name. Ori. Let's see if they have complete in box ones. I think those are the most expensive ones. They don't have any complete in box ones on here. But I remember seeing one for like $900. Oh, wow. Game Boy players have actually gone up. Everything has gone up. Game Boy player without the disc. Adapter only. So, there goes that idea. I thought they were still pretty cheap without the. Oh, there's one for 60. Not too bad. But yeah, they've definitely gone up in price. But yeah, so it works. It was cool that I was able to find this, and so I have a situation where I can use my Super Nintendo, because you don't want to use, again, the D-pad. The D-pad on the Game Boy or GameCube controller is not great. It's not a good way to play GBA and Game Boy games, but this is a great way to play GBA and Game Boy games on your cube. So if you're interested, you can look it up. Actually, I mean, they have a new company making that makes the GameCube Game Boy player. Let me see. Game Boy player controller. There's another company out there that makes them now, and they look very similar to the Ori ones. I can't remember their names. They're on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it. Go to Amazon. My phone's Amazon wants to update, but yeah, I can't remember their name. Are you serious? LOL. Can I just get the Neo Geo Super Dodgeball Arcade on Switch? Make it so. Says Bruce Kent. I think that's pretty much all I have to show for GameCube. But yeah, fantastic console. It was just in a weird position, and it had all these little things, you know. Like I said, the industry was changing, the maturity of gamers was going up, and so Nintendo just didn't seem cool anymore at that point, right? Especially after the N64. People would look over their shoulders at PS1 and even, Dreamcast and Saturn and be like, man, look at all these games those systems are getting that the N64 is not getting. And so that generation of losing out on third party hurt the GameCube, It was hard to bring some people back. So let me see if it shows now. I'm trying to find that company that makes those. Maybe it's in, because I think I have it queued up as if I was going to buy one at some point. Maybe it's in my cart. Let's see. I think it's in my cart so I wouldn't forget it. Yep, there it is. It's old school. And there you go. So you don't have to buy that crazy expensive Ori one unless you really want to. But here it is. You can buy the old school one, and it's like $35 to $40. So if you want that GameCube style, and they're in stock. So this one's $37. So yeah, you can have that. But yeah, great era. This is like the first really good 3D era as far as like games that can still hold up. Because N64, for some people, for me they're fine. But N64, especially PlayStation 3D games, just don't look good today. They just don't translate to the modern gamer. But like I said, I still play my N64. Mine is right here. I have a ton other units. Well, not a ton. I have 4 game or N64 consoles in total, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, GameCube as well. I still want that spice one. I'm gonna get that spice colored one, the hot orange or whatever you want to call it, and I'll have fun with that. But yeah, that's it for the GameCube celebration. 20 years. I can't believe it, man. Turn around every year, and these freaking systems are, old enough to drink. Basically, it's crazy. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. But before I get out of here, I just want to say, so I just moved about a month ago. It's been a transition. I'm working a lot now, and it's been that's why I haven't had a lot of videos up. But I'm on a schedule now. So every Sunday I will be right here live. It'll either be like a news roundup situation for the week if there's a lot of news in gaming. It would be that, or it'll be like a live stream where I'm focusing on something, a part of my collection, or some kind of anniversary like this, or something specific like that, or maybe even like gaming, like I'll just play video games or something like that. So that's what I'm gonna do every Sunday. I don't want to put a timetable on it, but it'll be in the later hours between 5 and 8. Maybe at some point I can actually get. This is when I'm going to be on this time every Sunday. But during the week I want to put out 2 videos, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday will be when I'm putting stuff out. So I got to get back up on my grind here now that I'm starting to settle in. Finally, it took a while, but so I hope you guys join me weekly. Hope we can build up an audience once I'm doing this in a more timely fashion, in a more steady fashion, and so you guys will be looking forward to doing this every week, hopefully. So it'll be a news roundup situation, or it'll be like a kind of dialogue. Let's talk about this specific thing, like an anniversary, or like I said, well, my collection. I'll share my collection because I've done that live. We'll do stuff like that. So hope you guys join me for that. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks to Bruce Kent. I know you're late. Lucid, you were very active. Thank you for that. Shadow Boxing, Laker Link. Did I miss something you said here? Laker Link, funny thing. Oh, I read that. I try to keep up with the chat as much as I can. Obviously, the more people get in here, the harder it is to do that. But anyway, thank you guys again for watching and listening. And we're going to get back up on this Mr. T thing. So, all right. So that's it, guys. And peace out.